Good afternoon. This is Bill Licker, and we're going to be discussing the great immigration debate today. But I have to introduce my co-host here. This is Chris Garcia, to my right. It might be to your left. I'm not sure.
Bless you.
And on my left is the founder
That's right.
of Radio Tribune here in Las Vegas, and his name is Rolando.
Are you reading my name in there?
Rolando.
Laura.
Anyway, so we got it. And the bottom line is this, guys. We're going to be talking about the great immigration debate, and the reason for that is it's costing us so much money that we're bankrupting the country, and if we are not very careful, it's going to kill this country and make us a third world country. So, Chris, I think it would be good for you to start. We'll just go from right to left here. And as you know, that this is all related to, it's not a racial situation, it is really a financial situation. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first I want to start by just, again, always thanking Rolando for having us on the show, Face the Tribune. He is a legend, and I appreciate him having us on. I always co-host with him every single day from 12 to 1 o'clock Pacific time. And I want to thank you, Luke, for being with us today. Answering your question, absolutely, it's a financial situation. It's not racism. You have Americans that are unemployed, you have Americans that are underpaid, and a lot of it is because of illegal immigration. So I've never found it to be a racial situation. Now, is there a small percentage of the population that is racist and that would not accept anybody, no matter what, even if they came here legally? A very small percentage. But the left-wing media tries to play it as if that's the whole reason that we don't want immigrants coming to our country, and it's not. Americans are very accepting people. All you have to do is look around. And there are people of every color, people of every religion. We have no problem as long as you want to be an American, you want to speak English, you want to believe in our country and the way we do things, and Americans accept you. We want you to come here and succeed, as Rolando did. Rolando is very successful. He's been in this country over 60 years. He speaks English. He loves America. He loves the flag. And it's not that you can't remember where you came from, but you should love the country that's taking care of you. And so I think that's the problem Americans have when we see you flying the flag that you're from, your country. Why don't you fly the American flag? Why are you walking up and down the streets of Las Vegas protesting flying the Mexican flag? Mexico is so good. Why don't you stay there? Why are you here?
I agree with that. Everything you said is well said, Chris. And Rolando, I want you to add to that. And the one comment that I'd like to add on to is you're right about they have no business flying any flag other than the American flag here. And we're going to get into.
We don't have a Cuban flag. I do have all Cuban. We have an American flag.
I have one question for the both of you. Do you think it's possible that between the three of us we could solve this immigration problem today?
No.
No?
No.
How about you, Chris?
No.
Well, I'm going to be in the affirmative and say yes.
How are you going to do that?
Well, no, not yet. It's your turn to speak. And
Well, let me tell you, to start with, there's something that has really been bothering me since yesterday, and to show the insensitive of these Mexican people protesting for everything, you know. And it's a lot of illegals in this country. It's not only the Mexicans. They took that priority for themselves because that's the way they are. They want to own everything. They wanted to brand name everything Mexico, you know. But let me tell you how insensitive and how arrogant they are. People in Texas are dying. People are lost and losing everything they got. A police officer lost his life trying to help somebody else, trying to get out of his car. They can have a little bit of a heart. What do? They go to New York and protest in front of Donald Trump's hotel because they want to get that DACA program put back on.
Well,
It doesn't make any sense.
A lot of things don't make any sense. The first thing that doesn't make any sense is how we ever got started into the first place. And really, it comes to see it. It's a lot deeper than what we think. It goes really back to who's behind the move. And I'm not just talking about right now with the demagogues and the Democrats. I'm talking about out of the elites. How is it handled? You see, because it all comes back to one thing: money, money. And when you have international bankers controlling the money here in the United States, you have a serious problem.
Yeah.
And that gets into the Federal Reserve, but it has everything to do with what we're doing today. And when people can hardly survive from week to week, from paycheck to paycheck, there's something wrong in this economy. And we can tell you why that's happening, because one of the things that we have to consider is, what is the financial burden associated with illegal people coming into this country? Oh, and by the way, before I start that, in your opinion, does the United States owe any foreigner anything?
I don't think so. I don't know any.
No, let me repeat the question. Does the United States of America owe anything to any foreigner?
To any foreign or any foreign country?
Any foreigner. Any foreigner. The answer is, and there's been several presidents that have said the same thing, we owe nothing. The United States owes nothing to any foreigner. Okay? How do we get around that? Well, if they become an American citizen, then they're no longer a foreigner, of course. And that's really part of what I would like to bring into the discussion today. And it starts with the amount of money that we're paying to Medicaid. And there has to be a clear distinction between Obamacare, Medicare, and Medicaid. And the major difference between Obamacare and Medicaid is in Obamacare you got to pay. Now, it's true that they changed the law after they implemented it and allow subsidies into Obamacare. And I know several people under that program that are getting subsidies, and their original payment was supposed to be $600 a month. And now they've reduced that to $150 a month. In other words, the federal government is paying that as a subsidy for them to be in the plan. So that's a very important thing. But the most important thing is that in Medicaid, all of the services are provided free. That is to say, the federal government pays in the state of Nevada 65% versus 35% for the state. So the state pays 35 and then the federal government pays 65. The fallacy in that problem is that if Medicaid and Obamacare go away, guess what? So does that insurance. Now, we have to look at the depth of this. It's not an easy subject because you have to say, well, what are the what's the downside there? The downside is the deficit is out of control and we're spending a third of our gross domestic product just for medical services. That's what it comes to. And it's not the federal government. The federal government is only an administrator here. They're dealing our money out to individuals who in a lot of cases are not worthy to be able to receive that. And I got to go back to the very first statement that was made when this was developed. And I think it was in 1965 that they developed the Medicaid program. But they didn't do very much with it first for a whole bunch of time. And then they decided to implement it here, and the state of Nevada, through the governor, implemented that program. Well, the rules have changed. Initially, it was, you must be a U.S. citizen to participate. You must be a U.S. citizen to participate in Medicaid. That's in the very first sentence of an application. So there are qualifications that you have to follow to get into Medicaid. All right? But then as you read down through the pages and you find out, it says, well, illegals can participate if they. So all of a sudden you see the holes in the system itself. And what's happened is they found those holes. And when you have 204,000 people signing up in a period of 3 or 4 months, there is no way that you can possibly let those people see if they're really, truly qualified. Can't do it. So the issue is that we have this vault full of money, and with holes in the bottom, and it's slowly draining out in every direction that we can think of. When you talk about 687 billion now, not million, $billion just going for Medicaid alone, you know that there's a major problem.
I want to find out a little, because I didn't know what happened with the police officer down there. I did not know what happened.
The police officer,
He died inside his car.
What happened?
he drowned.
He drowned.
Oh,
He drowned. I don't know how that's possible for a police officer to drown, except maybe once those windows are rolled up, you can't roll them down because they don't trust.
Or maybe the electric windows.
yes.
And the car died, you cannot open the.
Yeah, the battery could have
And
gone.
I guess when you are drowning like that, you open the door, you won't be able to get out of there. I don't know. I've never been in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation.
I was in that situation once in Miami Beach. It was back a long time ago, so I can tell you what happened back then. Because I was surfing on, I should say I was snorkeling, but I had a spear gun and I was looking for fish. And I was out in the ocean, and I was way out there. I was about 100 yards out. And so some lifeguard come out there yelling, "Get the fuck out of the water," and so on and so forth. And so I started to swim upstream, and he came, but I finally got back to shore.
Did they let you in Miami Beach?
Yeah, Miami Beach.
You're not Cuban. How can you get in there?
Yeah, that's true. Well, at that time there wasn't.
There was no Cubans in there.
No, there
Not
wasn't.
all.
That was before. That was before the Cuban.
Really?
Yes.
That was 59 years ago?
Yes.
Wow. How old are you, man?
I'm 79.
I'm just kidding. I don't need to.
Almost 80. If I make
Let's don't talk about age, please.
if I make it to October, I'll be 80.
One day in October.
So, but hey, we never know. Somebody could nuke us overnight. Problem is that we're getting back to this. What we're trying to establish is the fact that because of all these extra expenses that we have, our deficit is going through the roof. And if we don't curb it, it's going to get worse and worse. And nobody is going to be able to even survive because they're not going to have enough money to make it work. Now, you can say, well, they can keep printing money. Well, they've been printing money for some time. And, you know, we keep hearing about the 20 trillion. But, you know, that's been we talked about 20 trillion a year and a half to 2 years ago. So you're telling me that it's staying even? I'm saying no. That can't possibly be true. It has to be more than what they're telling us. And so let's get back to the illegal immigration. And this was a publication that was put out by Richard Harris, and it's called Reaching Out by Richard Harris. And it talks about
Richard Harris, the attorney?
Richard Harris is an attorney here in Las Vegas.
Really?
And he talks about the great immigration debate. And, you know, everything is related to it. For example, when we talk about immigration, there's over 11 million immigrants in the United States illegally. Immigration continues to divide Americans. Well, the point is that there's more, because we've been hearing this 11 million number, 12 million number for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And you're telling me it doesn't go up? It doesn't go up because they don't want it to go up. Is that it? And with Obama was in here, he fed this information, and because of the control that they have over the media and everything else, we don't get accurate numbers anymore. So here, when they're talking about 11 million, but 11 million, even 1 million, even 100 illegals who are feeding off the resources of the United States is too many. So, but as we go through this, what we're going to find out, and again, the financial matter is more important than anything else. But there's also fairness. When in here it says that only 7% of any country can apply, maximum allowed by any country is 7%. That's on our yearly total of 686,000, I think it is, 686,000 overall.
But let me tell you something, this is wrong. because the only reason that the immigration issue is dividing the Americans is because some Americans want to play the role of politically correct, and they want to be hypocrites.
Well, that's true. We're going to have people on both sides, no matter what you have to do. And I don't
Because
care.
I mean,
It's like man and woman.
when I came here, I have to have a clean bill of health. I have to have a visa. I have to prove that I was sufficient able to support myself.
Exactly.
Okay? All that stuff. I went through X-rated blood test, all kind of tests to make sure that I was not going to bring. Why are we not doing that now?
Because
When now we got more illnesses and more diseases than ever.
Because the reason we're not doing it is because this was a plan by what we call the elite, and we're not going to have time to get into the elite today.
What do you mean the elite?
The elite, those who control the destiny of different countries by money. And one of the people who spoke out many years ago was Rothschild. And he simply said that he who controls the money controls the politics. And that's exactly true. It's exactly true. Because as we know, we see here in our representatives many people who have been accused of atrocious crimes, and we know this the system is corrupt. Totally corrupt, and everybody's going to pay. You know,
They are.
Yeah, they're undertaken.
They can deny anything they want, but they are, and they're not going to change the mind of the people who knows they are. You know, simple as that.
Well, there's an additional, as far as the immigration is concerned, there's millions of families across the United States. 16.6 million people are in families with at least one undocumented immigrant. Now, those families, 9 million are of mixed status with at least one unauthorized parent and one U.S.-born child, according to the Center for American Progress. Neither side of the immigration debate is an easy pathway to citizenship versus net deportation of non-violent illegals is likely to prevail. Basically, what they're saying is they're non-violent, they're probably not going to do.
And I keep saying then it doesn't make any difference. They don't need to repair the immigration law. They don't need, and all they need is to apply and enforce the immigration laws that are already in the books, that they already exist. But because they want to play Good Samaritan with the convenience and the benefit of the rest of the United States, you know, a group of politicians looking for votes are destroying this country. That's all it is.
Well, that's all it is, but there's 500, and guess what? There's only 535 representatives in Congress and the Senate. I said 535 people who control the destiny of 330 million plus people here in the United States.
Okay, so I
guess you were looking at here this per country limits, and so I'd like to get to your feeling because, as I understand it, it's 7% for many countries. But what's your perspectives on that?
I believe that the United States. First of all, I don't believe that because there's no way that Mexico only makes up 7% of the immigrants that comes here. I think that's a joke.
Well, do you think that we should enforce the laws and make sure that there's no more than 7% from any country?
Absolutely, I think we should. Absolutely, I think we should. I just think that the United States had better worry about the people that they're letting in their country because I don't think the people that are coming to this country care about this country. I really don't. I don't believe, and I think that there are terrorist organizations around the world that are going to use our loose immigration laws to send terrorists in our country. I think it's already happening. I think that there are going to be cells popping up all over the United States of America. And we're going to have terrorist attacks, I think, all over this country. And I think it's nobody's fault but those sorry Republicans that are sitting there in office and won't help our president.
Now, you say Republicans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because we control it. So we already know the Democrats are sorry, but why aren't we helping our own president? Why are the Republicans not helping Donald Trump? You know how much we can get passed through right now?
Well, okay, the only answer that I have to that is if they're part of the establishment, if they want the establishment to continue, if they want to dump Trump, then, you know, then that would be a reason. But if they're really solid citizens and want this country to prevail, they have to get in line.
Like Rolando said, I'm sorry to interrupt you, like Rolando has been saying for the last year, look what happened in this state. Why didn't Trump win Nevada? Well, it makes no sense.
Well, there's also, it goes on further in this article, and it's a very good article, by the way. Richard Harris has done a great job. I think he's well respected attorney as well here in Las Vegas. But anyway, when we're talking about that, and we say, well, wait a minute, you know, you're at 35-40% of the people that's coming in here, and you're coming in here illegally to begin with. Now, here's a bigger question that I'm not. I thought I had an answer to this many years ago, and it appears that I don't. Okay, we know that crossing the border and coming into the United States is illegal. What is the specific crime? Is it a gross misdemeanor, a misdemeanor, or is it a felony? Anybody got an answer?
No. Is it a felony? Felony.
Is it a felony?
I think it should be a felony.
Okay.
It should be.
Well, it should be a felony because but if it's not, how are you going to stop it if it's a gross misdemeanor? You slap them on the hands and turn them loose. The point is that we have to enforce our laws, and we have to do it the best way that we can possibly do it without inflicting too much hurt and anger onto other people. Yes, we're all human, and we should but at the same time, we can't embrace everybody in the world. It's not physically possible. It's not financially capable. And that's why we're talking about Medicaid and the extreme cost of Medicaid, because as I mentioned to you, if 1/3 of the domestic product is being used for medical services alone, that means everything else, whether it's military or services to seniors or all those other things, they're coming out of what's left. And those resources are being drained, and if they're not being drained, then we have the perception of it being drained. We know it's happening, but because they print so damn much money that's worthless, sooner or later that's going to fall through the.
I just don't understand this. Rolando Ross came here over 60 years ago. He's never been on welfare one day in his life. Why can't everybody else do that?
I can barely hear you.
I said Rolando came here over 60 years ago.
Yeah.
He has never been on welfare one day in his life.
And I have never collected
Why can't everybody do that?
Well, I have. I mean, you probably have too. But there's many people who have a moral responsibility to themselves as well as to the country. And those are the people who are not going to take advantage of it. Sure, anybody can get to a situation where they have to rely on unemployment or something, temporarily. But if you're going to sit at home and collect $15 an hour, and you do know that there are states that pay $15 an hour for sitting at home. Now, why would they want to go out and work when they can't? Well, maybe I don't know what they're.
Because let me tell you why, my friend. Because those people that sit at home every day watching soap operas and watching opera TV shows. I don't know if she's still on the air or not, but are people that are on call. When they need somebody to protest, they call these people. Come on. How any other way you can explain that they can put 5,000-10,000 people together that quick anywhere that you go.
Yes.
I agree.
And
Yes.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
These people are on call.
Yes.
We need to protest for. Look at when they protested because you need to read the Las Vegas Tribune editorial this week. Joe Arpaio, he enforced the law. Senators are not to tell you what to do. The law is that you cannot tell a sheriff or a police chief that you cannot do that now, you cannot do that, or you can do that. The law says that if you are here illegal, you have to be deported. What is the big deal? But what bothers me as an immigrant, because I am an immigrant, and legal immigrant, but I am an immigrant, what bothers me is why do we let people in this country that don't love this country? Why do we let people in this country that don't care about this country? Because I'm very proud to be Cuban. I write about me all the time. I said I am Cuban. I'm proud to be Cuban. But I am proud to be in this country and I love this country. If I cannot love this country and I cannot salute that flag, I don't deserve to be here. That's the way I feel. And that's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be, that's the way it was planned. Yeah, we're not following the law, we were just not following the law, and if we just start to follow the law, it will start to make things different. Now, I'm gonna kind of ease into.
Let me just say one thing, Lou, because I know that the Medicaid thing is very important to you. I'm gonna tie something together because I do believe this. I think they want, and then all you have to do, go home tonight, especially after the Houston, they start talking about the hurricane. In a couple of days, it'll be about race again. They call everybody that doesn't agree with them a racist.
But it has to do nothing with race.
I know,
It's
but that's
about the law.
everybody's a racist.
It's about the law.
Absolutely.
Period.
They want a race war. I believe that, boss. I do. I think they want a race war, and I think anybody that does not agree with them, they're going to call them a racist. If you want to stop illegal immigration, you're a racist. If you want to make this country secure, you're a racist. If you want to build a wall, you're a racist. If you want people to work, you're a racist. Everything that you say, if you don't disagree with Obama or Obamacare, you're a racist.
Well,
and that's like you said, boss, that's one of the worst things you can call people, because how do you defend yourself against that?
Well, because, in the old days, in the very, very old days, when they want to hurt your reputation, they call you that you are a communist. Then it became the idea that if they want to hurt your reputation, you was connected to the mob, you're a gangster, or you have friends that are gangsters. Then it became the idea that you are a homosexual. Oh, because homosexual is a punish. Homosexual is a sin. And now the new style is the racist. Because that's what they do. They go, I am a racist. Yes, I don't deny I am a racist.
Well, I don't know that you can call anybody a racist simply because they want to be with the wrong people.
That's right, Lou.
Okay, and
That's right.
And it's like being into a particular religion.
But in Lou, excuse me, if I want to be with my own people, I go back to my country. Period.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, okay? Let's talk about religion for just a second, because we have Catholics, Protestants, Buddhists. We have all the. Are those people racist too because they all get together?
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely.
Now, why do they get together? Because they have a certain way that they pray. They get on their, some of them get on their hands and knees 5-6 times a day, and they believe, or they wouldn't be doing it. Okay, so if they're that devoted to their religion, but of course Islam and the Muslims are a little bit different story, because they advocate removal of those non-believers, and in particular, they've singled out Jews, they've singled out blacks, homosexuals, anybody that doesn't.
What about the white homosexuals?
The white homosexuals?
Yeah, you said black homosexuals.
No, I said.
Oh, black and homosexual.
Yeah, black.
Oh, okay.
Black and well, I don't know. I don't know I don't know very many gays, but I think there are some black gays, male and female, as well as any other race.
Yeah, that doesn't go with the race.
The point that I'm trying to make is that why are we saying that because we feel that we're more comfortable, we have more security in people of our own religion, of our own race. It's not that we have a dislike for a particular group. We have to say this though. I have to say this. When we were fighting the war with the Second World War with Japan, and we called them Japs, okay, and now we're talking about peace talks with them and working together and all that. So the point is that.
So you don't call them Japs no more?
Well,
Don't call them Jap no more?
No, I have to call them Japanese.
Oh.
Okay. So the point is that the point is that we have to get over this racist thing because the Constitution clearly states U.S. citizens. Get that? U.S. citizen. Now, what's wrong with that? Is there something wrong with that? Or are you saying, well, we can't do that because it's unconstitutional? What are you talking about unconstitutional? We, on the right, are constitutional.
I believe that the Democrats are going to change the Constitution of this country. It's just a matter of time. They have to. Because if you go by the Constitution, then you have to allow these groups to march. You have to allow Nazis to march. You have to allow right-wing supremacists to march because they are protected by the Constitution of our country. And I believe they're going to stop those people from having a voice.
Really?
I believe that.
Why?
And to do that, they're going to have to rewrite our
Why?
Constitution. Why? Because it doesn't fit into their game.
But if the Democrat doesn't protest and don't parade, what do you call that?
Let's talk about that for a second, because you see, who do you think was responsible for the formation of the Ku Klux Klan? Who?
The Democrats.
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 Why do
Who
all?
owned the slaves?
Why
The Democrats.
Why do the Republicans get the blame for the Ku Klux Klan?
Well, that's because the Democrats make that in the mentality of the former slave and the blacks
That's right.
and the Latinos. And why do you think the Latinos come over here? I used to think that the Latinos become Democrats when they become American citizens because they confuse Democrat with democracy. And we're all looking for democracy. But I don't think that's true anymore. I believe they become Democrats because the Democrats make them believe that they are the ones, because the Democrats want to control everybody. They want to keep everybody on their toes. And that's why.
Okay, but Democrats are brainwashing people.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
That's what they're doing. Okay, but
Yes.
you have to say that they're doing it very successfully.
Very
Very much
successful. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
the reason I'm saying that is this, okay? They're trying to educate people who with very little education. I'm not saying that all Mexicans are illiterate or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that they're smart enough to know that.
But let me tell you, you're right in that. You're right. Because the people that have an education, the people that are in a more higher standard of living on economical, socially, and everything else,
Yes.
they don't leave
They
their
don't leave
country.
their country.
They don't. Why would they leave the country? And that's the problem. All we get is people. Why do you think it was such a little Cubans coming to this country before Castro took over?
Well,
Because we live very good over there.
I'm going to answer that with one simple animal question.
Uh-huh.
Where's the cash cow?
Here.
That's right.
It's here.
They know that they got a cash cow waiting for them if they can just get across the border. And that's the problem. And what's happened is
What do you call the cash cow?
cash cow basically is where you go out and milk and get the milk.
And get the milk and get the money?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Well,
The cash, instead of getting milk, you're getting cash out.
we got a cash cow in Cuba, believe me.
Yeah.
If it wasn't because Fidel Castro, we have, you see everything that you see here in the strip, we got that in Cuba 60 years ago.
Yeah.
The best casinos, the best everything.
Yeah.
We had it.
Yeah.
But why? Because the United States government helped Fidel Castro to take over the nation. The same way they did with Venezuela and the same way they did with the Dominican Republic, because I compare the United States to the Review Journal.
Well,
Exactly the same. The Review Journal wants to be the only paper.
if
They close the Sun, they close the Valley Times, they close every other paper that is not owned by them.
I agree. Now, but you have to see. We keep getting lost in the debris instead of looking at where the problem lies. And the problem isn't from the little people necessarily; it's from the elite. And this is what I keep alluding to: is that there is, again, remember Rothschild saying he who controls the money controls the politics,
I
right?
think you're wrong.
And so the point is that we're not concentrating on those because it gets even into the Federal Reserve, which I've done a little study on, not enough yet. But the point is that all the information I have read is that originally in 1820-ish, the international community got together with certain bankers who had to put up $100 million apiece to join the banking cartel. Right? Now, the banking cartel formed the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve then has this merry-go-round, and it's too difficult for me to explain.
Isn't the Federal Reserve a private institution?
It is. It's a private institution. But
People don't believe that.
It's a private institution, and at the base of that, and the formation of it, is these 10 or 12 international bankers who initially contributed $100 million apiece to get into the system. And then what they did is, and so I mean, we can certainly talk on this thing for a very, very long time, and I hope to be able to expose some of that. The point is that it's a merry-go-round. They create these federal notes. In other words, if Brazil wants $100 million, they create Federal Reserve certificates, and they give them those certificates, which the United States then gives in currency. Gold, at one time it was gold, and now it's fiat. They give them the money. So the Federal Reserve doesn't have any money. The Federal Reserve doesn't have any money. They just collect the money. So they're kind of like an administrator, but they're an administrator who has placed the liability on guess who? The federal government.
That's right.
Now, how do you have, it's almost as bad as any Ponzi scheme that was ever created.
Yeah.
Maybe it is as bad or worse than any other Ponzi game because all the money is going to a central location. And when they snip or want to create a depression, they get together and guess what? They sell.
That's right.
And they have it timed so that the market, they manipulate the market. When they see that, well, okay, it's going to go up to 12 today, and then tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, we're going to make it go down. So we're going to sell. And then after it drops down, 5 or 10 points, they buy back in. So they never lose, and they never lose control. So again, it's okay for us to look at the lower level and try to create that, and that's what I think we have to do. I think we have the right president to get it done. I think that all the disruptions that have been created are not allowing him to concentrate on the job. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm telling you, there's light at the end of the tunnel because one of the things that's being discussed, and it's not in this magazine but another magazine, I don't have that with me today, is it clearly states that Russia and the United States will get together. Now, if you look back at some of the archives, you'll find that I said this at the very, very beginning, that Russia and the United States will get together. And there's so many reasons for that to happen that it would be foolish not to
I
do
don't
it.
think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen.
I
I don't think our Congress is going to.
Well, who said Congress is going to have any control? At some point in time, they have to put their foot down. And at some point in time, they have to come to the realization that the statistical information clearly points to an association. And the reason for that association is to bring better control and safety to the world. And that's the whole thing. Now, everybody wants to put Putin in a box and smear him and everything else. But if you ever read about Putin, go into Wikipedia and you'll find out that this is a man that came out of no place. He was born in a ghetto. He rose into the KGB and he did such a good job that they elected him to the administrative staff, and from there he became president and so on and so forth. But he's done a lot for Russia, and he is definitely not only a Russian and respects the people that he's working for, but he's also a Christian, and he wears a cross. I do too. But the point is that he did that because there was a time in his life when he had major problems, and his grandmother gave him the cross, and he put it on and has not taken it off since. Not taken it off since. So when you see that he gave $30,000 in rubles to people who had lost their home and so forth over there, and it was like 600 or a lot of people that lost their homes, and he just gave them the money to rebuild or do whatever they want with. And you can't say that this man isn't for his people, for his country, and that he isn't. Does he do things that are weird? Well, according to us, it's weird. But how do we know?
Yeah.
Because we say the same thing. They say the same thing about Donald Trump. He's weird. Well, guess what? He's the president of the United States, and we need to follow and get behind him. And that's really what it's all about. But again, I don't think we want to get too far off track in terms of what we were talking about as far as immigration.
I think the Democrats, listen, I think the Democrats, if you look back with Reagan, if you look back with Nixon, if you look back with Eisenhower, this was a very conservative country that voted Republican most of the time. The Democrats, it's not brain science. It's not. They saw that they were losing this country and that they would probably not win many more elections. And what they did was they got together and they came up with a brilliant plan. And it wasn't just their plan. When they talk about this new world order and they try and act like it's a joke, it's not a joke. They got together with leaders in Germany, France, Britain, all over the world. And they came up with this new world order idea, and that's to open up the borders. And I want to use this word, and a lot of white supremacists use this. They browned the country. The browning of the country. They allowed immigrants in to this country, which used to be a white Anglo-Saxon Christian country, and they browned it with immigrants. Those immigrants predominantly vote Democratic. And what they did is they said, just make it here. If you can get here, we'll take care of it. That's what happened. So they're guaranteed those votes for decades to come. The Republicans sold out. And the reason that they did that is because if you stood up against that, you were called a racist and your career was destroyed. Look at the news people that have lost their jobs over the last decade. If you say anything against the Democrats' plan, Harry Reid, those are some powerful Democrats in Washington, D.C. They're in the minority and they're still running Congress right now. Because if you say something against them, they will label you a racist. Donald Trump had to get rid of every single member of his cabinet because they called them racist. The only person left standing is Donald Trump. And what do they attack him for every day? Being a racist. Yeah. Every single day, that's all they talk about is that he's a racist. It has scared people. People don't speak up. This guy right here, you are two of the few people in this country that still speak up about the truth. People are scared because if you speak up right now, I'm sure if they're watching this show, we're all three of us are racist. You cannot even speak the truth in this country anymore. If you do, you're a racist.
Well,
That's why I sit
let's talk about
That's why I sit next to a crew. I don't want to be sitting next to a black man. You know, it's not.
It's not black.
Oh, you know? Oh, he's Cuban.
It's Cuban. This is black.
That's right. But you know what I mean, though? They call you a racist, and I think Republicans got scared. They keep quiet, and they just let it happen.
They're trying to win races and things like that, and they're doing whatever they can to do that. The problem is that they're not taking the right approach. Okay, the right approach.
I think they saw this.
The right approach is not doing what we're doing, but to change everything. And
one thing is going to happen is the people of the country are going to realize what they're doing, what the game they're playing, and they're going to turn around and they're going to say, we are going to go with Donald Trump, regardless.
Yes.
And then forget about
well, let's talk about Charlottesville, okay? First of all, we know what happened there, and of course they said 3 people were killed. Well, 2 of those were officers that came down in a helicopter, so they weren't killed. Okay?
That's right.
All right, and so the one person that did, one person that died in Charlottesville?
Yes.
One person that died in Charlottesville. It's not that every life is important, every life. And so even one person is one too many. But there are radicals on both sides that you can't control. And finally, when they get fed up, they said, okay, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen with the hell. And so they just go ahead and do their thing. Yeah. But what I was trying to point to is there's a group now, and I think it's called Anti-FIA, do you know what that
yes.
means? Yes.
That terrorist, they're basically a Democratic terrorist group.
They're basically a Democratic Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
Is that what?
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes.
They're basically Democratic
masked people going around terrorizing people that think differently.
In black.
In black. That's what they're doing.
In black, that means that doesn't mean they're black people.
Yes.
It just means that they're dressed as black.
Yes.
Just like ISIS is. ISIS
yes.
dresses in black, right?
Yes, they
do.
They do.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So the point is now all of a sudden we're getting confused because you say, well, what are those guys all in the black and they got the helmets and sticks and this and that, and well they must be Nazis or Ku Klux Klan or whatever. Well, that's not the case. We're just diametrically upside down with the thinking and so forth. And once can we allow that to continue? That's the question.
That was a setup. You right now go to Las Vegas, go to City Hall right now. I don't care what group you are. You could be from Black Lives Matter. You cannot block off Las Vegas Boulevard right now unless you have a city permit. You cannot right now just start a march. It is illegal if right now we stop traffic. Metro would arrest every single one of us. How was it allowed on that day? That white supremacist organization, they had been planning that march for months in Charlottesville. They got a permit. They are protected by the Constitution. They have the right, freedom of assembly. How then did 5,000 people from this liberal group get within inches of those white supremacists? How was that allowed to happen? That was illegal assembly. They did not have permits. How were they allowed to do that? Because they wanted a confrontation. And I'm surprised just one person was killed.
I agree with you.
I'm shocked.
I agree with you. If you're going to have a protest and there are 2 different sides,
yes.
both of them need to get licensed.
Yes.
Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is that if you know you're going to potential confrontation, you got to take the protective measures to do that. I don't care if it's putting up 4 barriers in between horses or motorcycles running up and down between the lanes. It doesn't make any difference. You need to try to protect that.
Absolutely.
And again, but Rolando made a point a little while ago on how do they automatically overnight get 5,000 people to go out to the vacation. How do they do that?
Jesse's
well,
buses.
The only thing I can think of, and I've heard this before, is that they're paid.
Yes.
To protest. They're paid to protest. Now, I don't know how widespread that is, or I've heard it. And
I happen to believe that it's true.
Yes.
I happen to believe there's people with plenty money. They have put millions of dollars just to destroy this country, and including the now President Trump.
And
They didn't think he was going to win.
That's right.
That's what it was.
I've heard it, like up to $1,500 a piece.
Oh yeah.
So
Huh?
$1,500 a piece to go participate.
Really?
That's why Barack Obama became famous in Chicago. He was one of the best community activists, and he went to Operation Push, which was run by Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson would cut him a check, and he used to go round up people on the South Side. And any bank or anybody that he felt like was being racist, they would just sit out there until the bank dude would call them in there and write them a check and go away. That's what Jesse Jackson does. That's what they do. Louis Farrakhan, that's all they do. I'm surprised they're not standing out here.
So,
Because let me tell you, regardless about my feeling about the police administration, we are very lucky that in this town, in this city, we don't have people that are so irresponsible. We had a couple, we got a few, like every other city, but you don't see people protesting here like they do in others.
Well,
they don't have people
the other thing is that a lot of people are afraid to get involved because they think they're going to get in trouble. And they could get in trouble. But at some point in time, you have to stand up for what's right, regardless of the consequences. And that's, I've done it on several occasions. I saw a Mexican lady being assaulted by a couple of big black guys. I mean, they were big and black. And they had to start it in, but they moved up on her, got close to her face and everything else, and were yelling and screaming. And I said, hey, what's the problem? And then they come after me, right? So now they're coming after me, and I took the sledgehammer and I said, come on. And so they called the police because I picked up the sledgehammer and I had it up here. So anyway, the bottom line is that there are people who can get involved accidentally, but what was I going to do? Let that woman be molested or beaten by a couple of people? Can't do that. I would have stood up for any woman under the same circumstances. I mean, these guys were big, muscular guys,
But they were black.
Well, they were black. But I mean,
So you're a racist.
And she's Mexican, but the problem.
You're even double racist.
She had some Mexican workers there, but they weren't capable of dealing with this. And I wasn't really capable of dealing with it, frankly. But I did what I could.
You just pretend, right?
To
You
stop
fooled
them
them.
beating on the lady. Well, it was only a white one, 10 pounder or something like that. But it went up to knock their cheeks and stuff off. But anyway, so there are people who are willing to stand up when the right opportunity presents. When I say the right opportunity, when the opportunity is there, and you would do the same thing for a child, any child, white, black, doesn't make any difference. You would do exactly the same thing. You would jump in front of a car to save them and risk your own life at the same time. So it's nothing to do with racism. It's everything to do with what's right. And what's right in this country is for us to obey the law, and that means everybody. But we're not going to have time to discuss the answer, as I had promised you earlier today. But I am going to give you a little bit of a clue. And let's see if I can do that here quickly. What would it be like if people started to abide by the law, and when I say that, I'm saying stand in line to become citizens and to earn their right, because right here it says to apply for U.S. citizenship, an individual must have legal permanent residence status for at least 5 years.
I'm going to tell you what would happen, Lou.
Hold on.
If people had to stand in line to become immigrants.
Okay, hold on. Tell me in a second. Be 18 years of age or over, demonstrate continuous residency, show good moral character, and pass several exams, including English and U.S. history. All right, now tell me what's going to happen.
We got about a minute left in the show. What would happen if people stood in line, came here legally? You know what they would do? They'd vote Republican.
Well,
That's what they would do because that's what this country is about.
now, you're not the first person who said that.
That's what Republicans preach. They preach coming here the right way, learning about our country, learning the language, just like Rolando LaRosse did, just like my mother did, who wound up getting a master's degree from Roosevelt University, and she didn't even speak English when she came here. That's what she would do, and my mother voted Republican in every single election that there was because Republicans believe in coming here and doing the right thing the right way, and they vote Democrat because they get to come over here illegally and get in everything.
Let me take this one step further. What if those people who followed the law, who became legal according to what is legally described as having a green card, so on and so forth, okay, there are certain things that you have to follow before you can even apply for citizenship, right?
Yes.
Okay. But let's just say that you fell within the guidelines of the government, and because of that, you were rewarded.
Right. Exactly.
Now, what would the rewards be? What would the rewards be?
The reward will be that they're not gonna get nothing. Well, that's what it is.
That's right.
If you do the things right, they don't give you nothing. If you do things wrong, they support you.
I have a slightly different approach to that. Okay?
We're out of time. We're going to discuss
We're
this.
going to have to close out.
Close it out.
You're going to have to come back and pay attention. You're going to have to call in 9830711.
That's right.
We're at 717 South 9th Street in Las Vegas at the corner of 9th and Charleston. And we're here to take your answers or opinions and to discuss those openly and see if you're right.
That's right.
9830711.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Face Tribune, the legend Rolando LaRosse. This is Blue Laker Cobra. Watch this show. It's an excellent show. We love America, all three of us. We're not racist. We're patriots. We love our country. Donald Trump loves our country.
No, I am a racist.
You are?
Yes.
No,
Anything they have to
No,
do,
it's not.
anything that is anti-American, I am
That's
against.
true. I guess I am.
Yeah. So.
Thank you so much for watching today. God bless America. God bless our troops. And Godspeed to Donald Trump.
I'll second that.
Yes.